everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today is going to be part 2 of the Wise Owl Paint 1 Hour Enamel. In the first video, I went over brushing it onto a practice board. We talked all about the paint and the good things about it. Did a little bit of a review on it, showing you guys how it went on and things like that. During that video, I had a great idea to go ahead and do a part 2 showing you how to spray this for those of you that use a sprayer or may want to use a sprayer. Let me tell you, spraying can be so beneficial. I love to do a brush on paint, and I would say that the majority of my projects are brushed, but there are cases where spraying just may save the day. So we're going to spray it today. I'm going to show you my process. I actually just got a brand new sprayer in. I have two. I have an older one that's an Erlex 5500. It's an all-in-one spray station that you do not need a compressor. It's got it built in. Excellent introductory spraying tool. I've used it for about a year now. I really like it. I just felt it was time to upgrade. So I'm going to transition that one into being my top coat sprayer only. And my new one, which is the Fuji Spray Semi-Pro 2, is the one we're going to feature today using the 1 Hour Enamel. And I have the perfect piece that will make a great spray paint project. For those of you that have been thinking about, do I need a sprayer? Do I want a sprayer? This will be a good video for you. I love spraying. It is awesome. It comes in handy when you have hard to reach places. You have an item that's larger than you, or just an item that's got large areas that you can cover so much more with a sprayer. It also does put out a different finish. After you play around with it and you test out your sprayer and you get that exact right spray flow that you want, the finish is absolutely flawless. So anyway, I love to brush. I will always brush my pieces, and I still do the majority of them by hand, but there are those in which I use my sprayer. So today we're going to go ahead and get this going so I can show you guys how to do it. There are things you do definitely have to read about when it comes to what product you're using, and that is usually how much to reduce with water, how the consistency of the paint is. You want to make sure you have a good viscosity for spraying so that you don't get orange peel or you don't get too dry of a spray. So there is a little learning curve, but you know what? That's why we practice. So I always practice first. And as a matter of fact, anytime I'm putting in my paint, I practice on some cardboard or just whatever I can find to make sure that I'm happy with my spray pattern before I start on my piece. As always, you want to prep your piece. I use Cred Cutter if you need to sand it down for some reason. Maybe you've got some spots you had to fill with wood putty or Bondo. Make sure you sand those down really nice and smooth, clean it really well, and you're ready to spray. So this is now going to be with a part where I'm going to show you what we're spraying today, and we're going to look at the before, and then we'll go ahead and I will go through the process of how I get my sprayer ready, and then we'll start spraying. Okay, so stay tuned. All right, you guys, so here's the piece we're going to be working on today, and check out those feet. How gorgeous are those claw feet? So I just love this little petite dresser. It has such personality, and a lot of times you've got to match up the piece with the color. Some colors don't work with some pieces, right? They just deserve a certain color, and I figured Abyss would look great on this. So what I plan on doing is I'm going to go ahead and stain the top in a Java color, and then we're going to do that beautiful Abyss color, that teal blue green, and it's going to look gorgeous. So here's the thing. What do you do first? Do you stain? Do you sand? Do you paint? So in a case where I'm brushing a piece, typically the first thing I do is sand it. Then I stain it, and while I'm working on painting, that stain is curing and drying, and I'm building up my stain coverage on the top. Well, that's fine when you're brushing because you can be very careful about how close you come to your stained surface. When you're spraying, you have a little bit different of an issue, right? Because no matter how hard you try, there may get some overspray. And I can tell you from previous experience, it's happened. And then you have to go back and battle with how do I get the paint off the freshly stained piece without ruining it. And and so on. So in this case, what we're gonna do today is we're going to prep our piece. I'm gonna take off the hardware, prep it, get it all ready to go, get my area set up, which I will do all off camera and not bore you guys with that part of the process, and then we're gonna paint it. That way, when I'm done painting and I've got everything on, then I can go ahead and sand the top of my piece. Now you ask, am I not gonna make a mess then with a freshly painted piece and sanding? Well, yes and no. So you can cover that piece up, exposing the top, and that way you will, plus I have a dust collection system, so it helps to keep that dust down, but it absolutely can be done. I'm obviously not going to do that the day after I paint it. I'm gonna let that paint set up and cure for a little bit before I go ahead and decide to sand and stain the top. But that's, in this case, how I'm gonna do it. Everybody has their different ways. For this video, that's how I'm gonna do it. And so yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get started. And when I come back, we'll go ahead and put together our paint sprayer and get it all ready. That is not the focus of today's video, so I'm gonna probably skip through that pretty quickly. If you're curious about that, there are definitely videos on how to prep and get your sprayer ready and how you thin and what you need to do and all the things when it comes to your sprayer. That is not what we're going to focus on today. We're focusing on spraying the product, Wise Owl Paint 1 Hour Enamel. So I will probably skip through that pretty quickly so that we can go ahead and get to the good stuff and get this paint on. But I'm gonna let you guys watch me spray, which I've never done a video where I've sprayed anything for you guys, so it's gonna be kind of cool. All right, so stay tuned. Okay, so it seems like around my neighborhood, every day is gardening day because every time I come out to shoot a video, there's somebody in the background blowing. So I apologize, but I can't wait any longer. I've got to get this video on its way. So just listen to me and not the background noise. Anyway, we're ready to go ahead and put our paint into our sprayer. I'm not exactly sure how much this paint will have to be thinned out. The consistency is very, very thin with this paint. Typically, I thin between 10 and 25% depending on the paint. The problem is if you over thin your paint too much, and when I talk about thinning, I'm talking about thinning it with distilled water. When you thin it, if you thin it too much, you risk that it doesn't spray well either. So, too thin, not good. Too thick, it's not gonna come out. So, I'm gonna go ahead and get my paint into my sprayer, and I'm gonna do a couple test patterns off camera to make sure that I've got the right consistency with my paint. Being that said, I am all ready to go. I've got my whole area prepped and ready. I had a little more prep work to do than I thought in the beginning. The hardware was actually glued on. That is the first time I've ever bought a piece where hardware was not screwed on, but glued on. So when I took it off, I had to sand and prime. So I did that on the drawers, but the whole entire piece is ready to go. I'm gonna put the paint in my cup, and when we come back, we're gonna get this color spraying, okay? Okay guys, so I'm all ready to go. I've got my practice sheet of cardboard here. I've got my mask on. We're all laid out. Got the piece there in the background with my drop cloth going on, and I will do a couple spray test patterns to make sure that I've got the consistency of the paint right and the spray pattern. It's really important when you're spraying to get a nice even flow. So what can happen is if you don't have a nice even flow, you'll see those jump marks in your piece if you have like a large flat section. For instance, I just completed a piano and I didn't have the spray pattern set appropriately, and also it has to do with how your flow manually is as well. Anyway, it just wasn't working, and so you could see from different angles the pattern. You don't want to see that. So it's important to practice first. Now, one question I do get asked when I have sprayed in the past is, don't I get overspray? I'm doing this right in the center of my workshop. The answer is sure, a little bit, but that depends on how you have your spray settings set. I don't have it set to blast, basically. And these spray systems are pretty good at not having a huge overspray. I obviously cover, you can see in the background there, I cover all my pieces that are finished and are sitting and waiting. I do have a carpeted floor, but I put my drop cloths down and my staging area. Basically, I have had no problems with overspray. So to answer your question, no, overspray is a non-issue for me. I will tell you they do make spray tents, and when I first started, I had one. And let me tell you, that would have been a video in itself to watch that you guys would have just cracked up, because I am not an outdoorsy person, and the spray tents are basically set up just like a tent when you go camping. So it was pretty funny to watch, and I vowed that I was not going to do that again because it took me forever, and it was just a joke to watch someone like me try to pitch a tent. So there you go. Anyway, so we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to test this out. I won't be talking during this because I have my mask on. You guys won't be able to hear me, so you will be able to see, and I'll get up close as I can so you guys can see how it sprays and how it's coming out, okay? Okay, you guys, I wanted to show you after I sprayed the first coat, I went ahead and sanded it down because I talked to you guys about having that spray nozzle open too much and what happens, and this is what happens. You get kind of this orange peel. It was too heavy, so I went ahead and sanded it down. I adjusted my nozzle back down to be a finer spray, and we'll go ahead and cover that with the second coat. So I just wanted to show you up close, and this sands down beautifully. Okay guys, so we are done. It is really difficult without a cameraman to show you the entirety of spraying a piece. I did my best to kind of give you guys an idea of how it goes. I have a really nice camera, so to get that camera too close while I'm spraying, it's just not gonna happen. So I shot parts of it so you guys could kind of get the idea of how it goes to spray. Basically, from start to finish, without the prep included, you can have in just a few short hours your entire piece sprayed and done. That is the best thing about spraying. Basically, you have to wait for it to dry to recoat, and it takes about 5 minutes per coat. So there you go. It is a lot quicker of a process. Now, I will say with that, it does take some getting used to, because you have to get used to each product is individual. So each brand that you work with is going to have different specifications for thinning that paint and for spraying that paint. So it does take a little time to get used to, and the majority of the time you spend is going to be prepping your piece, right? And getting your area ready. So I did love spraying this. What did I like better, brushing or spraying? That is so hard for me to actually make that call, but I did like the outcome of the sprayed finish a little better. And that is just because with a sprayed finish, you literally get a flawless finish. Not that you can't get close with those Klingon brushes, but it's just different. And I'm going to show you here, I have one of the drawers that I did, and I'm going to show you one of the drawers up close, as well as I will walk around the piece and show you guys. I did about I would say about 3 coats. Usually when you're spraying, because it's thinned out, it does take a little bit more to lay it down on there nice and even. So I did go over it 3 separate times, but again, one afternoon and I'm done. So I did enjoy how the 1 hour enamel sprayed. Now, If you don't have a sprayer and you have no desire to spray, you have no area to spray, I loved how it brushed too. This is a really great paint. I have run into a few paints where I've liked one better than the other. I have just a few where I like them both the same. I would have to say, comparison-wise, I like them both the same. It just depends on how I feel that day. Do I want to spend all the time prepping and getting and cleaning everything for the spraying session, or would I rather just sit and brush it on? Totally just a preference. But I wanted to show you guys today, and I wanted to give you my honest opinion of what I thought of it spraying. If you had a big area, if you have doors, cabinets, a large hutch, this would be optimal for you. To spray small pieces, not exactly sure you would bust out the sprayer or go invest in one because you'll get a great finish with the brush as well. But let me show you just so you guys can see the smoothness of the drawer. Look how pretty that is. Came out really, really nice. And reminding you that this paint is a one and done. You do not need to top coat it. So once that you've sprayed down all of your pieces, you're done. So I'm done. The only thing I have to do is let this sit, and then I'll go ahead and do my hardware selection, and I'll be done. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to walk around and show you the piece itself so you guys can get an idea of how nicely it laid down. And then I will feature in the very end of the video the final shot with it all sanded and stained as well. Okay, so thank you so much for watching today, you guys. I so appreciate you being subscribers. I hope you enjoyed part 2 of the Wise Hour. I did it again. The Wise Owl 1 hour enamel. I did the same thing in my part 1 video where it just kind of all ran together. But anyway, if you have any questions or comments about the spraying or about the sprayer I used or any of it, go ahead and leave them down below. I will definitely get back to you. But if this is a paint that you're interested in and you've got a big job to do, I say that spraying is the way to go. Really happy with the way that it came out. So thanks, you guys, and I will catch you on the next video. Bye. All right, you guys, I just want to show you all the coats that I put on, the 3 coats. I want to show you up close so you guys can really get in there and see how nicely this sprays. It just does such a nice job. The overspray is minimal and it comes out so incredibly well. I'm showing you kind of the front here because the sides, it's really dark and cast shadows in the shop, so it's kind of hard to see, but you get the idea. So there we go.